Welcome to Mission Control in the Volvo Ocean Race headquarters, where we are counting down less than 24 hours now to the finish line of Leg 4 in Auckland. And it is extremely close at the front and still the clouds wreaking havoc. We heard Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing had more than 10 sail changes in 1 hour. Let's see on board Team Alvi Medica what it's like.
Under 200 miles to go until we get to New Zealand, and the sail changes and crossovers, we've done a lot of them in the last 24 hours. It's been quite shifty and puffy. We were doing 20 knots a couple hours ago on the jib, and now we're under the fro and about to peel over the masthead. So all these maneuvers are make or break a mile or two here or there, and that could be the difference at the finish. So we got to keep pushing to the end.
See a change in the colour of the water. It's looking pretty blue. A few white clouds around. It's normally a good indicator. Land of the long white cloud.
New Zealand, Dave Sweet's homeland, known as the land of the long white cloud. So how close are they now? Let's take a look. Overnight, Abu Dhabi was leading, Mopfre and Dongfang neck and neck behind. The clouds continued to mess with the fleet, hitting hardest for Team Brunel and Team SCA, who dropped 50 miles further back. But as the leading three teams approached the coastline of New Zealand, they slowed down in less wind, and the teams behind have gained again. This afternoon, Mopfre chose to go offshore in the transition, a move that's taken them from third to first as the breeze died and then refilled from the east. While it's still anyone's game at the front, in the back of the pack, Brunel was feeling less than happy.
No! Nobody can make me happy, Stefan. Not even you.
Stefan was actually able to cheer them up. We've put a video out online as to how he did it. On board Team SCA, Sam Davies keeping it positive as she considers their options.
As we approach the New Zealand coast, we'll have 12 hours still to go, and it's going to be pretty light, and I think Brunel probably would have slowed down ahead of us, so I think not only will we see land, but we'll also hopefully see our competitor that we're going to try and overtake in those final 12 hours.
We know it's going to be and proving to be quite tight and tricky on the coastline. So late last night, early this morning his time, we were able to catch up with one of the legendary Kiwi sailors in the sport, Tony Rae. Unfortunately, he's on the sidelines now after the Team Vestas wind incident, but he was able to give us some great insights as to what we can expect coming up into Auckland.
Trey, thank you so much for joining us from Auckland. You are the oldest sailor in this edition. You have seen the finish line to Auckland many times on board and off. What can we expect as the teams come into Auckland?
Well, I was just looking at it a couple of minutes ago again, actually, at the tracker. It's a bit strange for me, having the app on my phone and watching this race so closely when you've actually been part of it. It's a bit pain. I must say it's actually a little bit painful, but it is good to watch. But yeah, just watching these boats come in, they're all aiming at the top of the North Island, which you do, but it's sort of like it's nearly another race when you get to the top of the North Island, and quite often, and obviously these guys are all very close anyway, but in the past, the boats have always, have closed up a lot at the top, and then it's another race down the coast because you've got this land issue which always comes into play when you're getting close to a finish, and there's different dynamics happen, and you get land breeze, you've got sea breeze, and which way do you go? Which side of the islands do you go? And so there's a whole bunch of decisions to be made from the top down to Auckland, and things can change pretty quickly depending on what time of the day they get there. In the past, we've seen the boats just sitting for hours and hours and hours off the top, becalmed, waiting for that sea breeze to come in. So it's going to be, whatever way you look at it, it's going to be a pretty exciting finish, I think.
Well, we're hoping they're not becalmed, because a 1 p.m. finish for you guys would be amazing, but that would be 1 a.m. for us. And the later it goes, the later it will be at nighttime here. So, but I think for all the guys in the back, they're hoping essentially for that, for a park up and basically the second restart of this leg. So let's talk a bit now about the Kiwis in general in this race. They used to be a dominant force in the Volvo Ocean Race. There were more Kiwis than any other country. And now they're almost the least. There was one Frenchman 3 races ago, and now they are the country represented the most. What do you think of that?
In some ways it's a real shame. I was hoping that there was, in this race was going to be a Kiwi boat. It didn't happen, but it's been a real New Zealand race for a long time. With so many Kiwis on different boats. So I'm just really hoping that come the next race that New Zealand actually has a New Zealand entry. Whether it's a full Kiwi crew or whatever, but just a New Zealand entry, because there's going to be a huge amount of excitement with people watching these boats come down to the finish over the next few days. But what you don't get is you just don't get that passionate Kiwi that's been following a New Zealand boat, and that's what we've had in the past, I guess, is 2 Kiwi boats coming down to the finish, heading the fleet, and fighting it out till the end, whether it's Grant Dalton, Chris Dixon or Peter Blake. This is what, people have been following their Kiwi boat. So they don't have that this time in the race, but I'm really hoping, and I'd like to try and make it happen myself, as a Kiwi boat in the next race.
Okay, let's talk about the Kiwis themselves. You're an island nation, and they're essentially all follow sailing. I mean, you have such great sailors because it's a passionate sport for every Kiwi. Why is that? And why can we expect to see the harbour filled with boats on Saturday?
Oh, I think, it's like you said, it's a small island surrounded by water. Everyone has something to do with the water. And I think, it's always been such a big part of certainly Auckland. There's a lot of sailing happens here. But it's a big part of the Auckland history, really, of the Whitbread boats, Volvo boats, coming into Auckland. The America's Cup. People that don't follow yachting that much still relate in some way to these big boats sailing into from around the world. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of sailing on at the moment. I'm sort of hoping that they don't come in the afternoon. I'm sailing a dinghy this weekend in the Sail Auckland regatta, so I'm sort of hoping they're going to come in at a reasonable hour so that I can come out and watch them at the same time. So. But you're just going to get down the viaduct is going to be unbelievable. There's so many people down there, whether the race is happening or not. So this is just going to throw a lot more action into that whole area. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome, though. I was going to ask if you were going to be out on the harbour to watch them. It's maybe even better if you're racing. So A, what will you be racing this weekend? And B, how difficult is it for you not to be racing in this race and to be racing in something else?
Obviously, it's really difficult, actually. Like I said before, just not being involved in it at the moment. I'm really hope that we can get back into the race, but it's really hard. I was, one of the reasons, things I was looking forward to was sailing into Auckland, obviously. But I had no excuse. I'm home, so I like to keep sailing and keep my hand in. So I'm doing the Sail Auckland regatta in an OK dinghy, which I've borrowed from a guy at Miles at Norths, and so that's going to be fun. There's not a lot of wind out there at the moment, but it's going to be interesting and good to just get back in a dinghy again. And so I'm hoping I'm not going to get run over by a Volvo boat coming down the coast on Sunday.
Okay, well, best of luck to you. I will leave with this. It's a 2-part question. We have an office draw here as to what time the first team will finish. So I'm going to let you enter that. What time will it be? You can go Auckland time. And B, who do you think the team will be?
Well, I think, I know Dave Sweet was pretty keen on making it back for the cricket. Looking at the weather, I don't like his chances at this stage. That can change so radically. But, that's my pick now. And as far as boats coming in, I'd like to see Daryl get in first. He's leading the pack at the moment, so I'm hoping that he can hang in there and bring it across the line.
So Trey's got Abu Dhabi for the win. Who do you have and when? With only 3 miles separating the top 3, it is way too close to call now. But the ETA is about 9 a.m. UTC, 9 p.m. Auckland time. So make sure, head down to the water if you can. Otherwise, join us online. I'll be here with Mark Cavell, the bearded wizard, and we'll be starting about 30 minutes from the finish line. We'll keep you posted on social media, on the app, and on the tracker as to exactly when we'll start. And I'll see you then.